Hey, and welcome to this video lesson. This video works as a supplement to the last video and also deals with the 4-note exercise. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can find it linked up here and in the first pinned comment. I recommend practicing all the exercise from the first video before attempting the exercises in this one because everything builds on each other. I decided to also show you the same exercise in the context of the blues because blues is actually far more complex than most people think. I've already made another video on this topic, which you can also find linked up here. However, you can watch that video afterwards since I will be repeating some of the key points in this video as well. So let's dive right in. When improvising over a blues in A major, the most common 12-bar progression follows this structure here. Each of these blocks represents one bar. In the first 4 bars, you play over the tonic, an A7 chord. In bars 5 and 6, you play over the subdominant, a D chord. In bars 7 and 8, you return to the tonic A7. In bar 9, you play over the dominant E7. And this is where things often get difficult for many guitarists. Joe Satriani once said about this, "The 5 chord separates the men from the boys." More on that later. Bar 10 is D7, bar 11 A7, and in the last bar, bar 12, we will divide it in half and play E7 briefly in the second half. By the way, you can find the backing track, this diagram, other blues diagrams, and even more bonus material, including content from the previous video, via the link in the video description and the first comment. You can download everything for free, you just need to provide your email address. So why is improvising over a blues like this so difficult? The answer is that in major blues, we can use both the A major and the A minor pentatonic scale. Technically, we could even use the D major and minor pentatonic over D7 and the E major and minor pentatonic over E7. So over D7 you can play or and over E7 or but strictly speaking, we're not really using the minor pentatonic because you always have to add the major third in order to correctly outline an A, D or E major chord. Otherwise, your improvisations will never sound quite right. To better demonstrate this, I will play a short improvisation over the first 4 bars of our backing track, just playing the A minor pentatonic without a C sharp, and then afterwards I will show you how it's played correctly with an added major third to make it sound a lot better and more bluesy even. That means if we want to make our improvisations really interesting and use all the available scales, we need to master 6 different scales, each with 5 different fingerings, and be able to mix them seamlessly. Depending on how often, how much, and how effectively you practice, this can take several years to truly master. Keep in mind that this applies to every key. So in order to play blues fluently in every key across the entire fretboard, you need to start thinking in notes rather than seeing scales as mere diagrams or patterns. The 4-note exercise is an essential step in that direction. It helps us focus on every single note at all times despite the limited number of notes we use. So when we play over A7 in bars 1 to 4, the key notes we need to target are A, C sharp, E, and G. G and A are easy to play. For C sharp and E, however, we need to bend. So from this C we have to bend to the note C sharp, and from this D here, we have to bend towards E. Remember, in the last video we established that we can do anything to our notes that the guitar allows us to do. Many guitarists don't even realize that they can do this with C to C sharp, so this alone can be a major breakthrough for some of you. So now with this 4-note exercise, here's my next improvisation. I will apply everything we discussed in the last video, playing some notes multiple times, using tongue twister licks, and incorporating all phrasing techniques like slides, rakes, mutes, and of course bends. Now when we reach bar 5 and move to D7, the key notes are D, F sharp, A, and C. D, A, and C are no problem. But if you also want to include F sharp now or later, you'll need to learn how to perform a two-tone bend on the G string from D to F sharp. So from here to here. Once you can do this, it's not only a lot of fun, but it will also amaze your listeners. Another cool trick before we get to E7, in blues there's a nice chromatic run from the root note down to the minor 7th. So in A that would be, or in D, in E. But since we're not allowed to play the note in between in our exercise, we have to bend it instead. This is something that very few blues guitarists do, making it a great way to develop your unique style. So here's another improvisation using all the tricks so far up to bar 9. Now in bar 9, where we have to play over the dominant E7 chord, that one is challenging because we need to target E, G sharp, B, and D. G sharp and B are not part of the minor pentatonic scale, which many beginners who only follow scale diagrams don't realize, making this bar particularly difficult. We can bend to G sharp like this, and B in our case like this. That means out of our 4 target notes, we now have to bend 3 of them. This is a great opportunity to define your bending intonation to absolute perfection. Now here's an improvisation over the entire second half of the 12-bar blues, so you can see and hear how fast you sometimes need to react, especially in bars 9, 10, and 12. If If you'd like to practice these tricky bars separately, click the link in the video description. As a bonus, I've included 2 backing track loops focusing specifically on bars 9 and 10, as well as bar 12. This will definitely help you improve quickly. Just as I mentioned at the end of the last video, you can spend countless hours with this exercise, taking your playing to an entirely new level and eventually playing things you can't even imagine right now. However, I also want to show you another approach that will help you never struggle with major blues and the A minor pentatonic enhanced with the right notes at the right time ever again. Once you feel confident with the 4-note exercise, take the same 4 notes an octave lower, an octave higher, and in different positions across the fretboard. Then constantly switch between these positions. Since you are now thinking more in terms of notes rather than scale diagrams, your improvisation should sound great all over the fretboard. Later, all you have to do is connect the notes in between and you'll have complete freedom in this scale. You can also experiment with 4 or even 6 different notes. For example, using these 6 notes allows you to practice your quote-unquote Chuck Berry or classic blues/rock licks effectively. But again, always be mindful of the additional notes you need to outline the chords effectively. Once you've mastered this, nothing will be able to stop you. So here's one final improvisation where I apply everything we've learned. First, I'll stick to the initial 4 notes, then I'll play them in all positions. Finally, I'll incorporate all the other notes as well. And before I go, please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. I'll continue to explore blues in even greater depth in the future, as there are still many more tricks that will allow you to play things hardly anyone else plays. So best of luck and have fun with these exercises. See you soon.